Hello everyone, welcome to the novel story Renegade Immortal. Without wasting any time, let's start listening. In the end, none of the 11 youths passed the test. There was one young girl who made it as far as Wang Lin. On that day, all of the youths that failed the test were sent back to the bottom of the mountain. The Heng Yue sect disciples took them home one by one. The one that came to take Wang Lin home was the same youth that had picked him up. Behind him was Wang Zhou and Wang Hao. The youth clasped his hands and said, "Brother Wang Zhou, congratulations on becoming Uncle Master's disciple. You have a bright future ahead of you." Wang Zhou's face showed an arrogant expression. He proudly said, "It is only natural. Master said that after I have finished taking care of the mundane affairs at home, he will teach me cultivator techniques after I return." Wang Hao raised his head and added on the side, "I have always looked down on your arrogant demeanor. So what if you have a master? I will be able to learn how to produce immortal pills." Wang Zhou gave Wang Hao a hard stare. Then he shifted his gaze to Wang Lin, who silently stood there. He smiled and said, "Taiju, how was it? I told you before that you didn't have the ability, but both you and your father wouldn't believe it. Now we know the result." Taiju raised his head, glanced slightly at Wang Zhou and said, "Sir, my parents are waiting for me at home. Please take me back as soon as possible." Wang Zhou saw Wang Lin dare to ignore him and sneered, "Little bumpkin, you are better off becoming a carpenter in a little village for the rest of your life, like your father." The immortal youth let out a faint smile as he looked at the three youths in front of him, but didn't say a single word. He waved his sleeves and brought the three along as they disappeared from the Heng Yue sect mountain. Comparing this flight to last one, Wang Lin's mood was like heaven and earth. Before, he was full of hope, but now he was full of despair. A little while later, the Wang clan's house came into view. Wang Lin opened his eyes. He could see from afar the clan house that was lit up in celebration with a lively atmosphere. There were far more banquet tables than when his father had organized the feast at the village. They covered almost the whole yard. All the Wang family members were there. Even those who were away buying lumber had come back. The celebration was in full swing, full of drinking and chatter. The lead of the banquet was Wang Tianshui's older brother, Wang Tianshui, and Wang Tianshui's third brother. All the relatives surrounded the three of them to give them their congratulation. The scene was very festive. Their eyes were filled with envy, but their mouths were full of flattery, especially towards Wang Lin's father, who couldn't help but remember the sadness from his past. Wang Lin's sixth uncle exclaimed, "Second brother, this time your son will be selected for sure. After this, you don't have to be a carpenter anymore. Anyone who sees you will have no choice but to call you elder." Wang Tianshui's fifth uncle said, "Lao back in the days I already knew your life wouldn't be normal. You devoted your life to Tiju. Now that he is going to be an immortal, you as his father must be extraordinary. Second brother, this time both your kid Tieju and my son will be selected. Us brothers haven't met each other in 10 years. This time we must have a drink together, no matter what," said Wang Hao's father, as he brought over glasses of wine. He was also Wang Tianshui's third brother. Tieju's father looked at all the relatives that used to look down on him. All the sorrow from his past was swept away. However, he couldn't help but feel a giant rock weighing down his heart. "Taiju, you must be selected. Second sister-in-law, this time your marriage to second brother has brought you good fortune. Having Taiju as your child, who in the neighboring area won't know you? Second sister-in-law, your kid Tiju has more ability than my child. Ever since Tiju was little, he has been very smart. Taiju's mother, even though we are of the same family, there are many consanguine relatives who have married nowadays. My daughter is unmarried and is about the same age as Tiju. Taiju is handsome, and I like him. Why don't we tie the knot between our families?" Like Tiju's father, his mother was surrounded by a group of female relatives who were enthusiastically chattering beside her. Wang Zhao's father held an indifferent look the whole time. He secretly desired for the immortal to come and deliver the news that Tieju had not been selected, so he could see his second brother's reaction to it. As he thought of this, he let out a laugh and toasted the relative next to him that was praising his child. The scene was bustling and full of spirit. At that moment, a sword of light appeared and landed in the courtyard. 4 people came with it. The area immediately quieted down. No member of the Wang family dared to say a word. The Heng Yue sect disciple swept across the area and secretly sighed. He remembered when he was selected as a Heng Yue sect disciple. His hometown was celebrating like this as well. He suddenly gave Wang Lin a look of pity. He knew that the thing that this youth was about to experience wasn't something a youth could handle. He has a ruthless path ahead of him. The disciple shook his head and left in a sort of light. Immortal practitioners can't have any earthly desires. Take care of what you need to. I'll come pick you up in 3 days. His voice echoed from the distance. When Wang Zhuo's father saw the immortal leave, he quickly rushed up to his son and asked, "Did immortal Hui Bing take you as his disciple?" Wang Zhuo said with a face full of pride and arrogance, "Naturally. Master has said that in 10 years I'll be able to become the head of Heng Yui sect disciples." Wang Zhou's father was overjoyed. He patted his son heavily on the shoulders and laughed. "Good, Wang Zhou, you will be an immortal in the future. Our Wang family will have an immortal." Wang Hao's father's face also had an anxious expression while staring at Wang Hao. When he was about to ask, Wang Hao let out a sigh and said, "Dad, you don't have to ask. Your son is already a Heng Yue sect disciple." Wang Hao's father was ecstatic. He picked up his cup and fiercely drank. Wang Zhuo had a disgusted look on his face. He said contemptuously, "Third uncle, you gave birth to a good son. He has lost the Wang family a lot of face." In front of everyone, he flattered the immortal, and then, only relying on a bribe, was he able to become a helper. Wang Hao raised his brow and said, "I'm happy, so what? In the future, let us see who has stronger cultivator techniques, then we will see who has lost the family face." Taiju's father saw the depressed expression his son wore, causing his body to shudder. He had an ominous feeling. "Taiju, what about you?" Tiju's mother asked, full of expectation. Taiju was silent as Wang Zhuo, in a derisive tone, said, "I have said before that this kid didn't have any talent. All he did was go and lose face for our family. I passed on the first test, so I didn't see him until later on. A few days later, I heard that he failed all 3 tests. He might as well not have gone. I would have preferred it if fourth uncle's son had gone instead." Tiju's fourth uncle frowned and said, "Wang Zhuo, even if you're going to become an immortal, what can you possibly know about what my son can or can't do?" The audacity! There was a flash of coldness in Wang Zhuo's eyes. He quietly laughed, but didn't say anything. Taiju's father suddenly looked like he had aged more than 10 years and fell down to his seat. Tiju's mother was also shocked. She couldn't believe what was happening. She asked, "Taiju, is this true?" Taiju bit his lip until it started bleeding. He fell to the ground and kowtowed a few times. He whispered, "Mom, Dad, Taiju wasn't selected by the immortals. I'm sorry, I will repay you both in the next life." Taiju's mother realized her son was in despair. She quickly ran and helped Taiju to his feet. She whispered, "Child, don't worry. So what if you weren't selected by the immortals? Next year there is the district exam. Child, don't be so hard on yourself. Don't do anything stupid either. Your father and mother still expect you to be at our funerals." Taiju's father snapped out of his daze. He realized the kind of mental state Taiju was in. His heart trembled, and he quickly ran up to his son. Holding him, he nervously said, "Taiju, you better not do anything stupid. Listen to your dad. Let's go home and study hard for next year's district exam." The surrounding relatives quickly moved away from Taiju's family. They all gathered around as if they were watching a show, gossiping and sharing comments about the event unfolding before them. Taiju's sixth uncle quipped, "I always knew that this Taiju kid didn't have any talent. How could he compare to Wang Zhuo? Totally right. Since this was bound to happen, why act like he was already accepted? How shameful. Lao Er, you are this old already. How could you still do something so stupid? No wonder Dad didn't give you a share of the inheritance back then," said Taiju's third uncle sarcastically. "If you ask me, the story that this kid has always been smart since he was a child was fabricated. It was probably because Lao Er knew that he himself was a failure. He tried to raise his son's reputation by lying, and now he's been exposed," said Taiju's fifth uncle, whose face had turned ugly. A female relative scoffed. "Out of the 3 children that went to test, only he failed. Taiju is the worst child in our Wang family. Second sister-in-law, I earlier said you had good fortune with second brother. Now it seems like your luck will keep dwindling for the rest of your life. Tiju's fifth aunt also sneered. Isn't that right? When I went to see Tiju a few days ago, I was wondering how he could compare to Wang Hao and Wang Zhou at all. Another female relative mercilessly said, I had already seen that kid Tiju didn't have any talent. Just look at his mom and dad. How could they give birth to anyone good? In our Wang family, only eldest brother and third brother's kids are any good. Taiju. Bah, just with that name, he sounds like an idiot. I was totally blind back then, about to push my daughter into a pit of fire. Good thing we found out beforehand that Taiju wasn't selected by the Immortals. My daughter would have hated me forever if I had her marry him. Taiju's mom, let us forget about this whole thing. Since your Taiju won't become an immortal, who would want their daughter to marry him? Isn't that like a toad wanting a swan's meat? In a few moments, all the relatives turned into snobs. They continuously launched a barrage of insults at Tiju's family. Compared to the previous scene, it was like heaven and earth. There were even relatives who went as far as to ask for the gifts they gave back. Seeing his parents' pale faces, Tiju tightened his fist. Listening to all the insults left him wishing he was dead. Wang Zhou's father laughed inwardly and sneered. Lao Er, didn't I tell you that to become an immortal's disciple, you need fate on your side? How could there possibly be any chance unless you have talent like my son? Yet you seriously believed it would be possible. Now you made your son wish he was dead. Was there a need for this? Tiju's father couldn't hold in his anger any longer. He shouted, Wang Tianshan, shut you mouth. Back in the day, father on his deathbed left me a part of the inheritance. You worked with the other relatives to steal it away from me, and now you are here insulting me. Do you really think I, Wang Tianshui, will quietly endure this? And all of you people as well. Earlier, you were happily congratulating me, and now you are here insulting us. Our son is already in this state, yet you add insult to injury. Are you all still human? Wang Tianshan paused for a moment and said, Why bring up the past? I warned you with good intentions that your son didn't have any talent, but here you are being angry at me. With a dad like you, the son won't be much better. All the insults thrown at the crestfallen Wang Lin were like thorns piercing his heart. He coldly looked at everyone and engraved their faces into his heart. I'll fight you to the death. Taiju's father couldn't hold in his anger any longer and picked up a chair. Taiju's fourth uncle rushed up and stopped him, whispering, Brother, don't be impulsive. Elder brother has many servants. Listen to me, don't bother with him. Taiju's fourth uncle glared at Wang Tianshan and said, Eldest brother, is that any way to talk? I will not listen to this any longer. If you dare to keep insulting my second brother, don't blame me for not caring about family ties. While the Wang family is big, I have made many friends during my travel. Don't push me to burn it all. Wang Tianshan murmured a few words. He still feared the well-connected fourth brother. Lao Si, what you are saying is unreasonable. We aren't wrong in pointing out that Lao Er's son doesn't have any talent. What's wrong with us, the older generation, scolding the younger? What you're saying is too unreasonable, said the family's third eldest uncle with discontent. That's right, fourth brother. We are speaking for you because you gave your spot to second brother. What Wang Zhou said was correct. Your son is stronger than Tiju. He might have really gotten selected by the Immortals. Tieju's fifth brother added on the side. Wang Zhou, with a proud smile, gloated. Their family brought all this upon themselves. My father and I warned them beforehand. This useless family is about as stubborn as a donkey. Now they hit a wall. Wang Hao, with a pale face, said, Taiju, Before he could finish, Wang Hao's father shot him a fierce look. He lost all confidence and kept quiet afterwards. Taiju's fourth uncle let out a deep sigh and said, Whoever brings this up again means he has something against me. Let this be done. Tiju not being selected can only be said that he wasn't fortunate enough and nothing else. Taiju, don't take it to heart. You can come to your fourth uncle for anything. I have no say in immortal sex, but when it comes to normal sex, your uncle still has some ability to get in you. You can go with my son, Hu Zi. I have always planned to send him to a sect to train. Wang Zhou chuckled when he heard that. He scornfully said, Taiju, I say go with fourth uncle. When you get there, you can tell them you were the trash that was rejected by the immortals. They might really take you. Wang Lin slowly raised his head. He looked around, glaring at all the surrounding relatives. When his eyes finally landed on Wang Zhuo, he said, Wang Zhuo, mark my words. I, Wang Lin, will definitely enter an immortal school. I'll also never forget how you and your father insulted my family. Wang Zhuo laughed when he heard Tieju's words, but before he could say anything else, fourth uncle shouted at Wang Zhuo, You wordy little brat, I'm going to waste you right now. Let's see if the immortals still want you then. Wang Zhuo's father suddenly looked pale. He hurriedly stepped in front of Wang Zhuo. Fourth brother, you wouldn't dare. The surrounding relatives all held a cold smile on their faces as they watched the events unfold in front of them. Tiju's fourth uncle laughed. He had a steely look in his eyes. In a low, deep voice, he said, Really, brother? I wouldn't dare. Tiju's father quickly stepped forward to pull his fourth brother back. Fourth brother, listen to your second brother. You have a wife and kids at home. Acting like this isn't worth it for you. I will forever remember what you have done for me. Just bring my family home. Fourth uncle glared at Wang Zhuo's father. He then nodded at his second brother and proceeded to leave the house with Tieju and his family. Even from afar, Wang Lin could hear the relatives in the yard mocking him and his family. The family sat in fourth uncle's carriage as he gave them a ride home. Silence enveloped the inside of the carriage. Taiju's father quietly sighed. It'd be false to say that he wasn't disappointed, but Taiju was still his son. He finally broke the silence. Taiju, this is nothing, all right? When I was forced out of the house before, I was much more despondent than you, yet I still persevered. Listen to your father. Go home and study. Strive towards a good result in next year's district exam. If you don't feel like reading, go relax with your fourth uncle. Taiju's mother gave her son a loving look and consoled him. Taiju, don't do anything stupid. You're my only son. If anything happens to you, I wouldn't want to live anymore. You have to be strong. As she was talking, tears rolled down her face. Wang Lin looked at his parents. He nodded and said, Father, mother, rest assured. I will not do anything silly. Don't worry, I have a plan. Tiju's mother embraced him. While holding him in her arms, she said, Taiju, it's over. We will forget about this matter. In his mother's warm embrace, Tiju's wounded heart was slowly healing. He felt exhausted after the events of the last few days. As the carriage bounced up and down, Tiju slowly drifted into sleep. He saw a dream. He dreamt that he was an immortal, flying in the sky with his parents. When Tiju woke up, it was late at night. He sighed lightly as he looked around at the familiar room. His heart was resolute. Before he left the house, he took a long, deep look at his sleeping parents. He picked up a pen and paper and wrote a letter. After taking enough dry food, he was on his way. I will not give up on the path to becoming an immortal. I must try to join Heng Yue sect one more time. If they still won't accept me, I must at least find the location of other immortal sects. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with resolve as he left the mountain village, carrying only a bag. With the moonlight paving the road and stars marking his direction, Wang Lin made his way forward, only his long shadow for company. 3 days have passed. Wang Lin was walking on a remote mountain road. He had opened his eyes back when the young immortal was holding him. He could still recall the general direction. Heading east, Wang Lin ignored the weeds that were cutting both his legs. He kept moving forward. After a week, he had already entered the inner parts of the mountains. Fortunately, there were no man-eating beasts here. Wang Lin pursued his path carefully. Today, when he looked up, he was finally able to see the familiar misty peaks on an isolated hilltop. Taiju was completely exhausted at this point. He took out some dried food and took a few bites while staring at the Heng Yue sect's entrance. The hairs on the back of Wang Lin's neck stood up as he heard a wild animal breathing behind him. He looked back and all the color instantly drained from his face. A large white tiger with blood-red eyes made the air feel dense. Drops of saliva dripped out of the corner of its mouth, producing dripping sounds as they hit the ground. The white tiger roared as it pounced. Wang Lin revealed a bitter smile and without hesitation jumped off the side of a cliff. He felt the wind on his face as he plummeted down. He couldn't help but remember the looks in his parents' eyes, as well as all the relatives that taunted him. Father, mother, your son didn't listen to you. This is goodbye. The wall of the cliff was covered in a myriad of branches. Taiju's body was getting cut by the branches as he dropped at breakneck speed. A few moments later, in the middle of the drop, Tiju felt an enormous force pulling him. Wang Lin had no control of his body as the force pulled him. Before he knew it, he was inside a cave that had been carved onto the wall of the cliff. He felt great force constantly pulling his body against the wall. After a long time, the force finally disappeared, and he fell down from the wall. It took him a long time to regain his senses. As Taiju struggled to get back up, he noticed his clothes were torn, and his body had gotten scraped all over by the branches. Pain came flooding in from his swollen right arm. Large drops of sweat streamed down, sticking to every part of his body. Wang Lin touched his arm, but he couldn't tell if the bones were broken. This injury was definitely sustained when he hit the wall. Finally, thank you everyone for listening to Renegade Immortal. See you next episode.